Good morning. I'm Marion Boltby. I'm the president of the Teachers College Alumni Association. On behalf of the TC alumni community, welcome to Academic Festival 2019, our signature homecoming event. Thank you for joining us for this celebration brunch, where we're honored to be recognizing this year's Alumni Award recipients, as well as saluting our Golden Alumni Society. It's my pleasure to welcome you all home today. Since we have a full program this morning, I'd like to invite you to go ahead and begin eating your meal. It'll be just like my dining room table at home with everybody talking and everybody, but keep eating. To begin, we're delighted to celebrate the 5th annual Golden Alumni Society reunion, which today is welcoming back those who graduated in 1969 and in prior years. We have our Golden alumni seated at tables 9 through 11. So could I get a show of hands? How many of you are returning to TC for the first time in a long time? Okay. How many have not been here for 10 years? More? 20? 30? Okay, now this, you really need to be honest. How many are here for the first time since you graduated? Wonderful. So this year we are truly honored to add the following alumni to the Golden Alumni Society roster. And as I call your name, it's probably easiest if you just sort of give a wave. Roberta Ehrlich, Sandra Epps, a former alumni council member, Susan Diamond, Marcia Dube, Catherine Hendry, Vivian Jones, Barbara Pell, Charla Tyndall, and another former council member, Diane Sunshine. So now, how about a round of applause for all of our wonderful Golden Alumni Society members. I'm delighted, too, that we have alumni from all decades here with us today. And even some of our student leaders are here. And, of course, all of our wonderful alumni family and friends. The terrific thing about today is that for so many of us, as I say, alumni, faculty, students, administrators, and trustees, that we have a chance to get together to learn more about and discuss issues that really matter. This year's theme for Academic Festival is Creating Pathways for All to Flourish, which directly reflects the theme President Bailey set forth at his inauguration. You'll hear his vision for the future of TC at our opening ceremony immediately following this brunch. But at this time, I'd like to invite him to come up and join me in welcoming you back to Teachers College. And then I'll be back shortly to kick off the awards ceremony.
Thank you, Marion. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. You know, this is an educational institution. I mean, you've got to know that's coming, so you should be prepared for that and not make us ask you twice. So, good morning. Yeah, that's it. All right. So I'm really happy to formally kick off the 11th Annual Academic Festival at Teachers College, and I'm eager to hear from our honorees. I have to say, though, I have a secret pleasure in Academic Festival. I've been going around the country meeting alumni, and I've really found that to be a wonderful experience, one of the most satisfying things that I'm doing. What happens today is that I can do that without enduring the cab ride on the Van Wyck Expressway to the JFK airport. So I'm sure you can all appreciate that. So I thank you for coming here so that I can get to know you without having to go through that ordeal. So we're here. I'm going to get out of the way. We're here to hear from the honorees. But there's a few thank yous I have to make. First of all, I want to thank the Alumni Council for the terrific job in making this weekend so successful. Would you stand up, all Alumni Council members? Thank you, really. All right, really appreciate what you're doing. And now perhaps the most important thing I want to do today is take a few moments to recognize the outstanding leadership of our Alumni Council President, Marion Boltby. We'll have a few other opportunities to applaud, so that will work out. So Marion's TC roots run deep, 30 years deep. She started working at TC as a work-study student in the International Student Office, earned her doctorate in International Education Development, and would go on to serve as the Director of International Student Services. For 7 years, she taught a graduate course in International Education Exchange. The past 10 years, Marion has brought her warmth, her sharp intelligence, creative insights, boundless energy, and ever-growing Rolodex. You still have a Rolodex? No, it's not. All right. Well, all right. To TC's Alumni Council, where as president, she has done a phenomenal job enriching and expanding our TC alumni network. Marion is so much a part of the TC fabric that she even held her wedding reception in 179 Grace Dodge Hall, right above us, right? Now that's devotion. So please join me in thanking Marion. Thank you. All right. Now, Academic Festival has become a reunion for so many of our volunteer leaders, past and present. And I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our members of the Golden Alumni Society, including our newest members, the Young at Heart class of 1969. Thank you. And I had an interesting first meeting this week with the President's Advisory Council, and I'm happy to have several of the PAC members join us here today. Thank you for that. And please join me in welcoming, I was going to welcome Vice Chair Leslie Nelson, who will be here on her way. Leslie was I like Leslie particularly because she was the chair of the Presidential Search Committee, so I owe her a particular debt there. So when she comes, please welcome her. Now, I have more to say about my first year as TC president during the opening ceremony. This morning, we are here to celebrate our TC alumni. The Alumni Council began recognizing exceptional alumni impact with the Distinguished Alumni Awards more than 40 years ago. Later on, we added the Early Career Awards in order to spotlight the achievements of our early risers. Marion will begin the awards ceremony in just a few moments. For now, I want to thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you throughout the day. Thank you.
Okay, well, keep eating and keep listening. Hope you're enjoying your meal. I'm very sorry to be breaking up your networking conversations. One of the things I love most about this day is the spirit of reunion among old friends and the new friendships that bloom here. But I have no doubt that you will continue to connect with each other throughout the day and hopefully for years to come. Before we begin this awards presentation, I'd like to take a few minutes to recognize my colleagues who serve on the Alumni Council, the Leadership Board of your Alumni Association. I'd like to acknowledge all of the members who are here serving as your alumni ambassadors on campus today. And to identify us, we're all wearing blue ribbons on our name tags, so we encourage you to seek out Alumni Council members if you're interested in learning more about serving the college and how to stay engaged. The Council has several committees that work closely with the Office of Alumni Relations to actively reconnect alumni to Teachers College. And you'll find a link on today's program that will provide you more information about how you can get involved and join a committee. This year, we are pleased to include the Shirley Chisholm Dissertation Award presentation as part of our awards brunch. In a moment, I'll be inviting Tom James up to help me introduce this award. But first, on behalf of the Alumni Association, I'd like to pause and recognize Provost and Dean of the College, Tom James. Where is he? Oh. Be it resolved by the Teachers College Alumni Association that in his role as Provost, Dean, and Vice President of Academic Affairs, Tom James has made timeless and invaluable contributions to the intellectual and community life of Teachers College. We applaud Provost James for his leadership role in hiring a new generation of Teachers College faculty who are recognized for shaping new paradigms in their fields, driving cross-disciplinary innovation and the development of younger faculty through the creation of the TV Provost Investment Fund, the Rapid Prototyping Grants, and other means. Enriching TC events and publications through his vast knowledge and broad perspective on education history and the history of Teachers College in particular. Modeling a culture of collegiality, mutual respect, and personal decency. And be it further resolved that Provost James has served as a visionary in recognizing the importance of alumni as standard bearers of the college on the front lines of their fields, as invaluable guides in drawing on their practice to shape and reshape the college's course offerings, community outreach, and impact, and as role models, mentors, and friends to TC students. In particular, we gratefully acknowledge Provost James for his role in enhancing all of our alumni programming, and in particular, making Academic Festival itself the signature homecoming and vibrant community celebration that it is today. His efforts include suggesting the use of Brahms' Academic Festival Overture as our inspiration in rebranding what was previously more sort of a traditional homecoming poster session. Providing sage advice to the Alumni Council on innovative faculty as speakers and panelists and how to better engage faculty in our programming in general. Suggesting and encouraging alumni of note to join us at Academic Festival as speakers, honorees, and thought leaders. Bringing other celebrations to Academic Festival, including the Shirley Chisholm Dissertation Award presentation and the Minority Postdoctorate Fellowship Talk that we're inaugurating today. And attending every single Academic Festival since this event's inception, presenting awards, reading citations, hosting plenary sessions, speaking on panels, and serving in just about any other role when we need an extra hand. Provost Tom James, for these contributions and for others too numerous to describe here, we, the Alumni Association of Teachers College, proudly present you with this medal in recognition of your distinguished service. Now it's your turn.
Thank you all, and thank you for those kind words, Marion. I'd like to talk now about a leader much greater than myself, our alumna, Shirley Chisholm, and the Shirley Chisholm Dissertation Award. Shirley Chisholm was an alumna of Teachers College. She was an early childhood educator, New York State legislator, the first African American to serve in the U.S. House of Representatives, a lifelong defender of human and civil rights, the first African American to run for a major party's nomination for President of the United States. The award in her name, which we are presenting today, recognizes a recent TC graduate whose dissertation embodies the vision and values of our great alumna, Shirley Chisholm. We honor scholarly work that deepens our understanding of the contributions of people of color to advancing the aims of democracy, through racial and gender equality, immigrant rights, access to improved education and healthcare in the United States. The way the process works for this award is that faculty members of Teachers College nominate Ph.D. or Ed.D. recipients who graduated in the previous calendar year and whose work embodies the essence of Shirley Chisholm's life and legacy. The person receiving the award is honored here at Academic Festival and receives a check of $2,500 from Teachers College to advance his or her work. To read the citation for this year's awardee, I'm proud to introduce my faculty colleague, Professor Felicia Mensah, who is also Associate Dean for Students. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Such pleasure for me to be able to introduce this citation. Lisa Edstrom, movements for equity must practice their own ideals. Your dissertation, Taking Action, African-American Mother Activists Working for Change in City Schools, brilliantly applies this standard to parents seeking race and class equity in our nation's public schools. In describing the contributions of 7 African-American mothers to school change, Taking Action questions how parent movement defines activism, leaders, and change agents. Applying the Black feminist framework of Patricia Hill Collins, Bell Hooks, and others, you show how the oppression faced by these African-American mothers defines and strengthens their efforts. The result is a broader, richer conception of parental involvement with schools. Indeed, you yourself wore the dual roles of researcher and mom, studying the PTA of your son's school as you even joined it. You noted that meetings were scheduled to suit wealthier white mothers who did not work or could take the time off. You saw that whites held most parent leadership positions, and you encountered many Black parents who nevertheless considered themselves activists as well. Ultimately, you argued that Black women often bring about change through mothering itself or through other mothering of other people's children, reflecting the belief that children are a community responsibility. That such work sometimes avoids direct confrontation with oppressive structures reflects Black women's historic concern for group survival. As you put it, as mothers, our goal is to achieve the goal of raising healthy, successful children. Not that the women you describe have shied away from direct political action. Together with the UFT and the Coalition of Educational Justice, they helped establish a lead teacher program in the Bronx and a $30 million initiative for low-performing middle schools. Nevertheless, their compassion is informed by their own losses and tragedies. For example, Barbara, a mother of 3, educates other parents about the home situations that guidance counselors deal with by showing how she lost her oldest son when he was struck by a car. And Alicia, forced as a teen to give up her baby for adoption, works with you to prevent the repetition of such situations like her own. Lisa Edstrom, for describing activism beyond existing structures of parent involvement, for debunking the myth of the disengaged African-American parent, and for showing how teachers and parents can work toward better schools for all children, we proudly present you with the Shirley Chisholm Dissertation Award.
Thank you. I'm especially honored to be receiving the Shirley Chisholm Dissertation Award today. I know that this award is intended for scholars whose work deepens the understanding of the value and contributions of people of color in advancing the aims of democracy. But for me, the fact that it holds Shirley Chisholm's name is special. As you just heard, my work focused on 7 remarkable women who, like Shirley Chisholm herself, are activists. These 7 mothers, all activists for education in New York City, have and continue to devote their lives to bettering public schools for all children, including the children of color who make up the majority of public schools in this city. There are many ways in which they do this, but as I worked with each of them, there is one quote by Shirley Chisholm that I think applies to how all of them view the work they are doing. Shirley Chisholm said, "We must reject not only the stereotypes that others hold of us, but also the stereotypes that we hold of ourselves." So as I accept this award, my first thank you must go out to the women I worked with who showed me what it really means to be an education activist. I'd like to thank the faculty of Teachers College, President Bailey, Provost James, my committee members, Dr. Dietra Price-Dennis, Dr. Maria Paolo-Quiso, and especially my sponsor, Dr. Felicia Mensa, without whom I would never have finished and I wouldn't be standing here today. I would also like to acknowledge the women who were my inspirations and support through this project. My mother, Pamela Edstrom, who's sitting at this table, and my other mothers, Lois Rosado, also here, Inez Barron, who is late, and the late Doris Edwards, who was really an inspiration as an education activist herself, and Miss Margaret Smith, whose stories of taking on the DOE back in the 1950s really got me started with this project. I'd also like to thank my husband, Greg, and my children, Joey and James and Dylan, who also supported me through this work, my colleagues and students at Barnard, and fellow doctoral students at TC, without whom I wouldn't be standing here either. Thank you for the constant motivation and support. You've heard the African saying that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, I think the same can be said for a dissertation. And to all in my village, and that includes all of you here at TC, thank you.
Congratulations. Please welcome Joanne Kleifken, Professor Emerita of Linguistics and Education, to present our first Distinguished Alumni Award.
Good morning. Bruce Ballard, in describing life with Parkinson's disease, you have written of the freezing spells that afflict you and of the halting, stagger, stammer speech, stuck in mid-sentence, words now out of reach. Yet, from your regimen of running, spinning, swimming, and ping pong, to your global travels, to the breadth of your remarkable career as an educator, scholar, and poet, your life has defied arrested motion. Indeed, there seem to be several Bruce Ballards, all deserving of awards for distinguished achievement. There is the master literacy teacher and coach, whose passionate use of a pedagogy developed by the Egyptian mathematician Caleb Gattegno has enriched the lives of countless children and the practices of thousands of teachers. There is the TESOL and second language acquisition expert, whose publications range from The Role of Sleep in Language to Make the First Move, a study of American introductions, and whose ambassadorship for Korean language and culture has been honored by the Daegu Culture Foundation and the Korean Ministry of Education, Science, and Technology. There is the silver and bronze medalist swimmer at the International Gay Games in Paris and the coach of the Japanese triathlon team. Yet these accomplishments, and he's run them too, he's done them too. Yet these accomplishments seem a prelude to your life's current chapter in which you have modeled a mindful and courageous approach to living with Parkinson's, provided education as an official blogger for the World Parkinson Congress, and shone a light for us all on the challenges posed by this debilitating condition. Your blog entry, "What's it like having Parkinson's?" attracted more than 6,000 visitors from 67 countries in a single 5-day period. Another entry spotlighted the struggles of LGBTQ people with Parkinson's who live alone, whose doctors often misunderstand their lifestyles and health challenges, and who may face ostracism and discrimination by colleagues, employers, and insurers. Bruce Ballard, in one of your poems, you hint that the name of your website, Parking Suns, honors the courage of Copernicus, Aristarchus, and others who first parked the sun at the center of the solar system. For a life devoted to improving the lives of others, for parking the sun of your own brave world for others to see, and for teaching us all about coping with one of the most challenging manifestations of the human condition, we are proud to present you with Teachers College's Distinguished Alumni Award.
So I'm going to read a poem about what it's like to have Parkinson's so that you can all experience the same thing that I do. All you need to know is that I live north of the city and my doctors are all in the city, so when I come to see a doctor, I ride the Metro North train down along the Hudson River and I look at the river and I write my poetry. A brisk fall day, a wintry day, I ride the train beside the river, look outside and see the mist, which hangs like gauze and blocks the view of Jersey's cliffs and trees and rocks. I'm on my way to see some doctors. One will snip the stitches, 6, which she had sewn 2 weeks ago to close a cyst excision. The cyst was big. How big? Well, just envision some great bloody human eyeball, and you'll get the picture. If you picture pools of stinky slime the white orb sat upon. I had that cyst for years and now it's gone. The other doc will check my hacking lungs. I'm coughing almost nightly. I'm not young. I'm overworked and overstressed, and yet I still try to get all I can get. I don't sleep enough, work out enough. My diet could be better, but it's tough to lead a fast-paced life, do what you want, keep up on news, try all that's au courant. On top of that, my Parkinson's disease just mucks my mind up, puts me ill at ease, puts me on this train so many times, pushes me to put down many rhymes. Poetry that springs from inner doubt how long I'll walk about without support, how long I still can function, accept invites to some neighbor's luncheon, climb the stairs at home while holding still a brimming cup of coffee I don't spill, dress myself while standing on both legs, express myself precisely, not sound vague, not talk with halting stammer speech, stuck mid-sentence, words now out of reach of my now frozen mind. And furthermore, I'm scared of choking. Every time I pour a tall, cool glass of water, I'm afraid the water will explode like a grenade back in my throat because my epiglottis fails to close the trachea. What? This process, swallowing, which used to flow like liquid silk, is now more like a death blow as my eyes spurt tears and mouth expels the fluid that I need to drink to dwell on earth like everybody else. It's morbid. Drinking now is like being waterboarded. When things get really bad, my mind gets worse. Forget me putting down some rhyming verse. Instead, I ponder, how can I go on? Sleep fitfully, get up before the dawn, slog to work and put in many hours, get anxious due to my declining powers. Oh yes, I wonder, how can I go on? The answer is I'm driven by the urge to do things that forestall the creeping scourge of Parkinson's, like writing this long poem, which I composed while traveling from home
on a train en route to see some doc. My current calendar is chock-a-block with medical appointments. I'm delighted when I ride the train. Ideas ignited in my brain. What joy. And then there's this. I work out at the gym and feel bliss. My weekly ping pong lesson forces all of my attention on a spinning ball that I hit with a slanted puck, and puck, it spins back, puck. My mind's thus not gridlocked. And open water distant swims have banished depressing thoughts. Anxieties too vanish when I push myself at something that I revel in. Living tit for tat with this incurable disease, I find I have the upper hand and that my mind, while losing dopamine, still works fine at cooking tasty meals when I dine. Still works fine when reading books at night before I go to sleep. And when I write a blog post, story, poem, or email, I'm often pleased as punch because I nail exactly what I wanted to inscribe. A sonnet, say, a blog post diatribe. The urge to do things that I revel in was always there before my Parkinson's wreaked havoc on my brain, my leg, my arm. Its source, a cosmic force, which, like a charm, spurs all humanity to forge ahead. Climb a mountain, maybe bake some bread, paint a picture, join a local band, volunteer to lend a helping hand when hurricanes or earthquakes devastate some portion of the earth, or just create a quiet space where people, much like you, can gather in companionship in lieu of fuming solo at the constant friction of politicians claiming facts are fiction. The urge to do things helps me counteract the ravage of PD. Now that's a fact. But don't forget that bladder urgency can be a 5-alarm emergency. Puck.
Now please welcome Hansen Jong Waring, Associate Professor of Linguistics and Education.
Good morning. Fanshen Cox, as a culturally mixed woman searching for racial answers, you have envisioned a place of reconciliation where everyone comes as close as possible to living together and still loving each other. In your astonishing one-woman show, One Drop of Love, you assume the personas of 16 different characters across eras and geographies as you explore your family's search for roots, identity, and justice. You reveal our society's imposition of race as a construct to perpetuate white power, and you demonstrate that construct's artificiality, as for example, during your Peace Corps service, when some Cape Verdeans didn't see you as black, and starting with your title, alluding to the archaic American rule that specified that even one drop of black blood determines identity, you subvert racist centrality in human relationships. Ultimately, the play reflects your long-standing refusal to see issues in purely black and white terms. With a mother judged white, though she is part Native American, and a father pronounced black, though he considered himself simply Jamaican before arriving in the States, you have variously identified as a light-skinned girl with blue eyes, black, mixed, and even white adjacent, a phrase you adapted from the real estate world to suggest a privilege of whiteness. From such unflinching self-searching, you have emerged not only as an artist, but as an influential social critic and change agent. You have designed curriculum for and taught ESL to students worldwide. In the Washington Post and elsewhere, you have decried the violence of football, a sport you played in high school, and its exploitation of black men, and protested the hiring of white directors for films about black and brown people's pain. As head of strategic outreach for Pearl Street Films, led by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, you promote development of media projects that mirror America's diversity, and you co-crafted Hollywood's inclusion rider, which promotes diversity and inclusion of actors and crew in media projects that are produced, financed, and distributed by its signatories. Fanshen Cox, you have urged the world to put aside racial differences and focus on where we can unify. For your courage and artistry in mining your own experiences to understand how we can attain that goal, and for your determined efforts to enable others to make that same journey, we proudly present you with Teachers College Distinguished Alumni Award.
Thank you so much. You know, in Hollywood, everyone you meet dreams of winning an Oscar. This is my Oscar. I recently wrote a social media post asking if anybody had developed a dating app for educators, social workers, sociologists, and activists, because that's what I'm looking for, and I really believe that if we all couple together, we're going to change all of this, right? Really being recognized by fellow educators and by a college that is so deeply committed to inclusion and equity is my constant reminder that I'm doing something right. Thank you so much to Rosella, my girl. She's amazing. Thank you, Rosella, for keeping the alumni across the world in touch and reminding us that we're so cared for at the college. Thank you to Peter Mook and the entire nominating committee for, yes, thank you for acknowledging my work. And to our new president, Tom Bailey, it was such a pleasure to get to meet you in Los Angeles, and I'm so excited to see what you'll be doing for TC, especially with your focus on community college education. And I also have to acknowledge some badass women in this room. My friends, Delicia, my best friend in the world, who is well on her way to being one of the only Black women philosophy Ph.D.s in the entire country. And to Violet and Lila, who travel across the country with me and help make me look good in doing my show, One Drop of Love. Thank you so much for being here with me today. So, yes. So I'm gonna admit something. It's a little tough in this room, but I will say it. I became a teacher because I needed a day job, a survival job. So a lot of actors, as you're pursuing a career, everyone tells you, well, how are you going to do it? How are you going to sustain yourself? And I wasn't a good waiter. I was always very bad at that. So I thought, I'll try teaching. Why not? And then the minute that I stepped into a classroom in Ann Arbor, Michigan for student teaching, my whole world changed. All the skills that I needed as an actor, of course, were the same skills that I was using as a teacher. I had to keep the students engaged, and that is the same as keeping an audience engaged in live theater. Of course, as we all know, those teachable moments, if you got some improv skills, you know right away how to handle those teachable moments. I also became an A student finally because I was learning how to learn as I learned how to teach, right? I was like, this is the best profession in the world. Like, why don't more people do this? And then I saw my first paycheck and I understood. My teaching experiences in the Cape Verdean Islands as a Peace Corps volunteer, yes. Papia Criollo, do we have some Cape Verdeans here? Or just giving it up for the Peace Corps? Okay, either way, yes. Or teaching in the South Bronx at Morris High School while I was studying here at TC. Teaching in community colleges in Los Angeles, my experiences teaching inform every single other thing that I do. As I created my show, One Drop of Love, I understood, because of my teaching experiences, that I had no business making art for art's sake. The stakes were too high for all of the students that I had ever taught. The stakes were too high for the world. And now, as a development executive in Hollywood, when I get to help grow a story from the seedling of the idea to all the way to airing on television or in a movie theater or in a streaming service, I carry those same values with me that I honed as a teacher. I always think, how does this project bring value to the world? How does it propel people to contribute to positive change? How can I ensure that this project doesn't perpetuate the lie that Hollywood has told us for too long, that white, cisgendered male is the default for human? It's not. And that is why I created my show. That is why I co-authored The Inclusion Rider, because I am an educator first and foremost. And we yes. And we must use the privilege of this profession to promote real change in everything that we all do. Thank you all so much.
Now please welcome Hervé Varenne, Professor of Education.
Denny Taylor. I don't think I'm supposed to start by saying Denny Taylor. I have never addressed her that way in my life before. So, with my glasses on, Denny Taylor. While our society continues to debate how to teach reading and question the value of public education, you champion literacy as a foundation for democratic life, a lens unto the diversity of human strength, and a key to protecting the natural environment. Your Teachers College dissertation, later your groundbreaking 1983 book, Family Literacy, Young Children Learning to Read and Write, held that children learn to read through their families, the primary institution that endows meaning and value to human life. You revealed how middle-class children who were successful readers and thriving in school incorporated literacy into their daily play. How their home environments outshone their school books, and how their parents had learned to read and write. Literacy, you wrote, is not a package of predetermined skills, but instead an integral part of children's daily lives. The concept of family literacy has since been adopted by everyone from Barbara Bush to the United Nations. Today, there are family literacy centers and coalitions across the United States, and many other governments employ the concept as well. UNESCO, which has published a family literacy handbook, uses family literacy as an organizing principle for supporting vulnerable populations. Meanwhile, responding to our era's vast changes, you have focused your attention on climate change and our frightening new anthropogenic world. Yet, literacy remains at the heart of your work. You founded Garn Press, which publishes Diane Ravitch, George Lakoff, and other authors who, in quote, imagine the future so that we can reimagine the present, and who challenge the false narratives and propaganda prescribed to the public as truth. You lead Hofstra's International Center for Everybody's Child, which assists teachers and children in the aftermath of catastrophic events, and you work to ensure that global literacy initiatives dovetail with UN goals for sustainable development. Denny Taylor, you assert that as literate citizens, even we who live small lives, your word, can help fight climate change. For your profound insight into reading and to how reading is developed, for the hope you have provided future generations, and for life that has been anything but small, we proudly present you with Teachers College Distinguished Alumni Award.
Wow. I want to thank everybody that's here. It's truly a remarkable moment. Before I talk, I've learned to do the end of a presentation first. Because sometimes you don't get to the end. So I just want to start by asking, and I've never called him Professor Aveveren, and my doctoral students who are now illustrious professors, they're my daughters, if you would all stand, and Terry. Ben and David, would you mind standing? My life partner and my son, we share this award. This is not something that I feel is mine, but it's shared with many, many people. And I just want to make sure that I recognize you, even though I've written nice things about you at the end. Done the ending first. I'd like to also just take a moment to recognize the many families, often living in dire circumstances, who have shared their lives with me, and reaffirm my commitment to them, to keeping their stories alive, even though governments are becoming increasingly callous, ignoring their human rights, exacerbating their difficulties, and negatively impacting their life expectancy. Like many Brits, I have been watching Brexit. I can't get through this presentation without Brexit. Like all Brits, it absolutely fascinates me. And I spent a lot of time watching the debates in the UK Parliament. I'm fascinated by power. And so I've listened to their tumultuous arguments, and especially what they reveal about class in British society. One Conservative MP spoke of the working class and the increasing number of people living in poverty. It's an ongoing part of this debate. And this Conservative MP said that the working class lack aspirations, and that's why they are poor. I would argue that it's a lack of opportunity. And Teachers College gave me that opportunity, and I'm grateful for that. My father went down the mines when he was 14. I've now left my speech behind. Both my grandfathers were coal miners, and I am the first of my generation to go to college. I was the first in my school to go on to college, and it wasn't until I came here that I felt I was able to do the research that I wanted to do. And I've always believed that in life, all we have to do is decide what to do with the time that is given to us, long or short. Our time is precious, and we should use it wisely. Teachers College gave me the gift of the life I choose to live. It is no small thing. Where's President Bailey? There you are. I congratulate you on creating an atmosphere of hope and possibility at Teachers College. I've always felt that Teachers College is advantageously grounded and positioned by its illustrious history. I always felt the history when I was here, and it's a long time ago that I was here. It was the 1970s, which I suspect that many people in this room were not born at that time. I can see faces that, so I am historic. I'm part of the history. In the 1970s, when I was a doctoral student, there was a sense that we were making progress in ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and opportunity for lifelong learning was for all. We did have this sense of hope. I still feel it. I mean, I feel the way that I did then. I can remember this extraordinary time that I was in this institution. We were also making progress on gender equality, and there was a focus on empowering women and girls. And the spike is actually documented in numbers, which have since precipitously dropped. The struggle for racial equality and gender equality was central to my experience at Teachers College and has framed my life as a public intellectual and scholar. Unfortunately, the incredible energy in the 70s for equality and justice in the US academic institutions dissipated as the gap between rich and poor became more extreme. In the last few years, there has been a resurgence of interest in tackling the many inequalities within society. I sense that resurgence in Teachers College. Reading your mission, President Bailey, gives me hope. Similarly, the publication of the TC Alumni Association seemed to me to include a revisioning and a recommitment to the progressive ideals that are historically located in the writings of John Dewey, who was so much a part of our lives in the 70s, and more recently in the writings of Maxine Green. Changing topics, I'd like to take a few moments to thank Professor Hervé Varenne, and I never called him that, he was always Hervé, who was my mentor and chair of my doctoral dissertation. Hervé framed my experience as a doctoral student at Teachers College. What I appreciate the most is his belief in students' active engagement in research projects on the most prescient issues of our time. He trusted us to take the initiative and define the phenomena we wanted to study. We were encouraged to become ethnographers, trained observers, disciplined and systematic note-takers. We were immersed in ethnographic research, and we read the writings of the most renowned anthropologists of the 20th century. Hervé never examined us. There were no tests. There would have been an unnecessary interruption, for we knew the work we had to do, and we worked at becoming fine qualitative researchers with an enthusiasm that I have not lost even 40 years later when I'm engaged in my own research or working with my now illustrious students. My students have as many awards, perhaps some of them have more awards than me at this point. When I arrived at Teachers College, I had already decided what I wanted to research. In fact, at my interview, which was not with Hervé, someone that's not here now, at the end of the interview, he said I was the only prospective student who'd come in who'd asked all the questions. So I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to research family literacy, and every paper that I wrote at TC focused on some aspect of families and literacy. But Hervé insisted that if I was going to use the term, I must establish that the concept of family literacy is different from other forms of literacy. For example, that the concepts of family literacy and school literacy are different. So my doctoral research was one of the first studies focusing not only on family literacy, but also literacy, both in families and schools. Some of you might not know that at the end of the 70s, we were still just talking about reading. And it was only at that time that literacy became the focus of researchers' attention. So there was this double thing going on with the study. So today, my doctoral research was one of the first studies. Today, family literacy is a concept that is ubiquitous throughout the world, and the UN, there are 140 countries so far that we have documented have family literacy programs that are focusing not only on teaching reading, but are focusing on local issues to deal that have to do with, she's telling me to stop. 2 seconds. That have to do with sustainable development and also peacekeeping. So that is really, and I'm very glad I introduced everyone because I knew I wouldn't get to the end. But I'm right on the last sentence. I just want to, again, say thank you to everyone for the honor of the award and to promise to continue working as much as I can for social justice and equity, especially for families at what is essentially an existential moment in human history.
And now please welcome Mark Anthony Gooden, the Christian A. Johnson Endeavor Professor in Education Leadership, to present our first Early Career Award.
Thank you. Good morning. Alleyne, you have devoted your career to ameliorating two harsh realities that confront prospective first-generation college students. The first is that getting to college is tough. The second is that by several orders of magnitude, finishing is even tougher. In Delaware, for example, just 8% of low-income students enter four-year colleges, and of those, less than a quarter complete their sophomore year. Your own story defies those numbers. Through a program called Prep 9, you left public school in Brooklyn, attended St. Andrew's School, and earned degrees from Wesleyan, Teachers College, and the University of Pennsylvania. But other first-generation college students rarely encounter such environments. Lacking family members and friends with the experience to provide survivor tips, they arrive on campus as though landing on a new planet. The genius of Delaware College Scholars, the unique program you founded in 2012, is that it supports promising candidates from their sophomore year of high school through graduation from a four-year institution. Along the way, students spend parts of their 3 summers living in dorms, working with mentors, and learning by the Socratic method. Their teachers, guidance counselors, and parents team up to prepare them for success. They receive help in navigating America's Byzantine financial aid process. And when they get to college, DCS helps them with roommates, professors, internships, and much, much more. The results are astounding. All of your students finish high school. All matriculate at four-year colleges. And 92% persist past sophomore year. Yes, equally impressive, through the private sector, DCS leverages by fourfold the investments of St. Andrews and the Delaware Department of Education, demonstrating what society can accomplish through public-private partnerships. Alleyne, you have written that at a time when adults with college degrees are making 50% more than those with only a high school degree, a college education is key to breaking cycles of poverty. For your inspiration in breaking that cycle yourself, for your dedication to helping others do the same, and for your innovation in modeling how we can all help young people succeed, we are proud to present you with the Teachers College Early Career Award. Congratulations.
Wow. You made me sound real good. I was sitting there listening like, I want to meet that guy. Good morning, everyone. I'm extremely thankful and grateful to be here today accepting this honor. I have many people to thank, but for the sake of time, I'll keep my remarks as brief as possible. When I first started the Klingenstein program at Teachers College 10 years ago, I never imagined how the subsequent decade would unfold. I am forever grateful for the diversity of thought that I experienced throughout that program and the seeds of inspiration that surrounded me. Without question, Klingenstein and TC served as my impetus to think beyond what I saw on every day and think to what the world needed for tomorrow. It also helped me refocus my professional priorities from working for a paycheck to working toward my passions. Klingenstein led me to create the Delaware College Scholars. I thank all my professors, in particular, one who has recently passed away, the late Pearl Rock Kane, who challenged this young black boy from Brooklyn to use his voice proudly, regardless of whatever situation I was in. Next, I want to I messed that up. Next, I want to thank everyone that's been involved with the development and the flourishing of DCS. From the Delaware Department of Education, to St. Andrew's School, to the banks and foundation, to my faculty members, to the scholars themselves and the families, they are all part of my squad, and without them, I would not be here standing in front of you today. So thank you to everyone involved with DCS. A special thanks to my parents and to my two sisters. I was a tough little boy growing up in Brooklyn, but my parents always did everything possible to ensure that they put me and my siblings first. They sacrificed their time, their money, and everything they had to ensure that me and my sisters had the best opportunities. I hope to continue to honor them with everything that I do in the way that I live my life and to truly represent my last name to the fullest. So thank you to my family. And now, I preach to my scholars the power and importance of a professional and personal balance. I tell them that you work hard now so that you could play later. And at times, I don't necessarily follow my own advice. Reva, thank you for being my balance. Thank you for giving me peace and serenity through all the craziness that life brings us. You are my oasis, and I love you. I know, right? And to my two daughters, LT and Tate, don't cry, because you're gonna make me cry. You are my beautiful brown babies. Know that I'm proud of the young ladies that you are today and the amazing, strong black women that you will become tomorrow. I promise you both that I will never give up on you and that I work endlessly to be the father that you need and the father that you demand me to be. I cherish every moment that I have with you, and even when you're mad at me, know that I'll always be there for you both. Work hard, try your best, focus. This moment means so much to me because the two of you are here to see it. And without question, the two of you are my greatest treasure and my greatest accomplishment. I work hard to build a legacy that is being honored today, but I know that you will take our family to new and even greater heights. I love you both dearly. I'm extremely blessed in terms of all the people that have surrounded me and all the opportunities that I've had. And DCS for me has been the embodiment of the public and the private world. I grew up in the projects in Brooklyn. I went to public school and I had an amazing teacher that exposed me to Prep 9. And then I had the valuable yet tough experience to go to a boarding school, which was traumatic within itself at times. But I definitely have taken all that life has given me and I try to work toward a job that I am proud to wake up to every day. So moments like this really give me encouragement to continue the hard fight, and I hope that everyone in here finds a way to find that professional and personal balance as well. So thank you again, and hopefully I'll see everybody at my workshop later.
And now please welcome Lena Verdelli, Associate Professor of Clinical Psychology.
Good morning. Trying to recover from the previous speaker. Kim Baranowski. You've said that documenting the extreme mental trauma endured by asylum seekers from around the globe fills you with hope and leaves you inspired by how brave and resilient the survivors are. In a world with nearly 70 million displaced people, I repeat, 70 million displaced people right now, and in which many nations have hardened their stance towards all newcomers, you yourself are one of the great beacons of hope for those who lack even the basic protections of refugee status. In your role as Associate Director of the Mount Sinai Human Rights Program, you have conducted countless pro bono forensic psychological evaluations for US asylum seekers who are survivors of torture and human rights abuses. For many who cannot prove their stories or who struggle with barriers of memory, language, an unfamiliar legal system, cultural remorse, or shame, these assessments can mean the difference between winning safe haven in the US and being deported back to danger. Indeed, our courts accept these evaluations are legitimate evidence, and Physicians for Human Rights estimates that 90% of people who work with a forensic evaluator are ultimately granted asylum. You had trained more than 140 clinicians in this work, and you have also personally provided pro bono forensic psychological evaluations for asylum-seeking women and their children at the South Texas Family Detention Center, the largest immigration detention facility in the US. Meanwhile, you work on other fronts to create a better climate for asylum seekers, refugees, and many others who have suffered abuses. You have lobbied with Senators Schumer and Gillibrand to reform the nation's immigration, asylum, and refugee processes. You have studied challenges faced by forensic trauma evaluators and recommended improvements in their training. You have consulted for an online experience that puts the public in asylum seeker shoes. And at Teachers College, you have taught hundreds of psychology students about the foundations of multicultural service provision and teaching. Kim Baranowski. In urging others to join you in addressing human rights violations, you assert that there is a way for every single clinician to find some space in their life to do this work. For devoting your own life to helping the world's most vulnerable populations, for encouraging and teaching others to do the same, and for embodying our nation's ideas for compassion and human dignity, we proudly present you with Teachers College Early Career Award.
Thank you very much. I am extremely grateful to have been selected for this award, and I would like to extend my appreciation to the Teachers College Alumni Association Council, as well as to my family who tolerate me being gone a lot. My daughter's here today. I also would like to send a heartfelt thank you to Dr. Matthew Robinson for his nomination. Unfortunately, he was unable to join us here today. My experiences at Teachers College have profoundly impacted my professional identity. Specifically, my belief that effective research, education, and clinical practice must be conducted through the lens of cultural responsiveness and social justice. As a master's and doctoral student, I had the great fortune to be mentored by Dr. Laura Smith and to have benefited from exposure to a wide range of extraordinary experts in the field of psychology, considering Dr. Lena Verdelli. Now, as a member of the Department of Counseling here at TC, I work alongside a team of faculty and students who I learn from each and every day. As Dr. Verdelli mentioned, and as you all know, we are in the midst of the greatest human rights crisis since the Second World War. And we're faced with an extraordinary opportunity and, I believe, extreme responsibility to lend our voices and our efforts to support those in need of international protection. I have the great honor of meeting with asylum seekers who have survived torture, persecution, and other human rights violations in their countries of origin. People don't flee their homes with medical records, police reports, or other documentation, and the ability to receive asylum is often really resting squarely on their shoulders and their ability to testify effectively in court. I have the opportunity to bear witness to their stories and document their human rights violations they've encountered with the hopes of communicating to our legal system the impact of trauma and torture on mental health functioning, memory, and credibility. And I can attest that these individuals are some of the most remarkable, resilient, resourceful people on this planet, and their presence here in this country makes our communities and nations stronger. Despite the current obstacles and challenges that asylum seekers face, I believe that through the cooperation of dedicated professionals across disciplines, by leveraging the skill sets and strengths of everyone in this room, across our institution, and by continuing to cultivate allies outside of these walls, we can effectively meet these challenges. In this way, we can continue to uphold the values of equity and social justice that has served as the foundation of Teachers College for over 130 years. I want to thank you for acknowledging my work, but more importantly, our work, the work of my colleagues here at TC, at the Mount Sinai Human Rights Program, and our colleagues and partners nationally and internationally. This is a truly collaborative effort, and each success that we achieve, we only do so together. Thank you.
And now please welcome Mary Mendenhall, Associate Professor of Practice.
Good morning. Hakim Williams, you have said that violence is so commonplace in Trinidad and Tobago, where you grew up in one of the poorest and most dangerous communities, that you took the middle names Mohandas, after your hero, Mahatma Gandhi, and Amani, which is Swahili, means peace. Yet even as you charted your remarkable course away from those beginnings, you have devoted your career toward, quote, giving back to a country that gave so much to me. At the heart of those efforts is your ongoing research on violence in Trinidadian schools, which you argue are steeped in colonial-era systems of punishment. In 2013, you found that analysis of violence in these schools has focused chiefly on students rather than on the school's structural role, and that this omission reinforces a highly stratified class structure in Trinidad and Tobago, perpetuating educational inequity. You subsequently found that youth violence reflects a system that is itself predicated on masculinist posturing, even in its harsh zero tolerance toward violence prevention. And by detailing the more positive, caring approaches taken by individual teachers, you have offered models for change. Your Caribbean work, in turn, anchors your broader contributions as both Associate Professor of Africana Studies and Director of Peace and Justice Studies at Gettysburg College. During the past decade, in courses ranging from Introduction to Caribbean Studies to Human Rights Policy and Practice, you have educated hundreds of people, most of them white and from well-to-do backgrounds, about regions they would otherwise know little about. You have taken many of them there as well, leading service trips to Trinidad and Rwanda. You have also served as a bridge between those in your field who argue for more rigorous critical evaluation of peace education's accomplishments and others who fear that a focus on short-term results will hinder what is fundamentally an iterative aspirational process. Ultimately, you have called for a new critical peace education that focuses on power and structural inequality at a time when, as you put it, flows of global capital take precedence over a focus on human rights violations and environmental degradation. Hakim, Mohandas, Amani, Williams, for choosing a path of peace in a violent world, for your heroic efforts to help your homeland follow you on that journey, and for re-envisioning the future of a field on which all our futures depend. We are proud to present you with Teachers College's Early Career Award.
Thank you, Mary, for those lovely words. To everyone gathered here, past, present, and future, good morning. I bow my head in acknowledging the connections of the Lenape and other indigenous peoples to the land beneath our feet. Thank you so much, Teachers College Columbia University and the Alumni Council, for this great honor. Thank you to my mentors, Monisha Bajaj and Peter Coleman, for your lifelong friendship. Allow me but for a moment to decenter this spotlight, because this man, Hakim Williams, has been tended by varied love. So to accept an accolade rendered to an individual thus feels a tad uncomfortable. And it is why it must be splintered and dispersed. This accolade belongs to the village and to the life force, eons old, that is within me. My friend Marlon, who passed away when I was collecting dissertation data, with you, I share this. All my close friends and siblings gathered here, a share of this is yours. That grandmother, Nora Lucy Simmons, who used her pension to take care of a 17-year-old young mother and her firstborn, with you, I share this. The largest share, however, I giddily grant to a particular lioness who roared beyond her meager start and surrendered to the world most of her ambitions so that I could stand here. Pregnant at age 16, dropped out of high school, traveled to the United States, and toiled at one point as an undocumented person, sending her very last hard-won pennies to Trinidad so that I could stand here. I remember when I was attending undergraduate in Brooklyn, this lioness and her 3 cubs huddled on a mattress on a floor in an apartment we shared with a drug addict, not knowing from week to week if we would be evicted onto these New York City streets homeless. This lioness went to Connecticut during the week to be a nanny, and I took care of my 2 younger brothers while going to school full-time and working 2 part-time jobs. She toiled ceaselessly. She poured her tears, her warrior prayers, her dreams, until my cup runneth over. This accolade is mostly hers. My dear mother, Celia Williams. Her spirit is conjoined to that pantheon of ancestors that, come what may, refused to capitulate to a world that said no far too many times. That spirit that shall not die is a transnational one that roars through the Atlantic slave trade, through the Caribbean, through Brazil, through the American South, ancestors all, and it is from this rich, deep reservoir that I feed my work in the Caribbean. I am grateful that it was at TC where I first read Pedagogy of the Oppressed, where I encountered praxis, critical reflection, and critical action as mutually symbiotic partners in social change. It was at TC that I received a vocabulary to name and decode the violence in which I grew up, and to connect that analysis to the globalized violence of the colonialism of yesteryear and of today. I hope that it isn't mere fantasy when I wish for my intellectual home, Teachers College, to be a voice of conscience within Columbia University, to continue to diversify the faculty, to push back against Columbia University's further intrusions into Harlem, to partner more with the community that surrounds it. Simply said, starve tokenism and feed horizontal engagement. I pray, too, that my work not be one of tokenistic intervention, that the work I do with youth teachers and parents from disenfranchised communities take root, not for my own ego's sake, but for the radical futures whose possibilities urge us onward. The ancestors didn't haphazardly register precarity in my life. They marked a constant reference point so that I wouldn't forget my start, the memories of wretched inequality and biting struggle. When my spirit is called to the great beyond, may those ancestors recognize me as one who never gave up. May I never grow weary to the point of jadedness. May my dreams never devour me. May I always stand tall in my beauteously queer immigrant black skin. Ashe. Thank you.
I think I need a second here. And now please welcome Ellen Meyer, Professor of Computing and Educational Practice, to present our very first Alumni Award for Outstanding Service to Teachers College.
Good morning. We are last, but hardly least, because the work of Joohee-san promises that many more amazing events like this will be taking place, not only here in New York, but all over the world. Joohee-san, at Teachers College, we treasure our alumni for carrying our ideals and knowledge out into the world, refining them on the front lines of research and practice, and returning to reshape our understanding and work. But certain alumni play another equally valuable role, uniting communities of their fellow graduates, sustaining these communities through their hard work and goodwill, and mentoring new generations of TC students. Clearly, you have made significant contributions on both levels. In your own career, drawing on your background in TESOL, cognitive science and instructional technology and media, you lead the Center for Education and Technology at Seoul, which provides self-regulated learning environments that develop English fluency and the critical thinking skills of students at the K-12 level. You have presented on this work at the Korean Society of Educational Technology. At the same time, you have served as the president of the Teachers College Korean Alumni Association. In that role, you were instrumental in recruiting alumni to participate in the crowd-funded 125th Anniversary Scholarship Fund, which has raised more than $176,000. And you have hosted many successful events, including bringing then TC President Susan Furman and Professor Harold Abeles to Seoul for Global TC Day, recognizing TC Art and Art Education alumni Ha-Yoon Chung, Haesuk Kim, and Borim Song for their co-authorship of Korea's very first art education textbook, and celebrating Chung-Yang Kim, recipient of TC's 2013 Distinguished Alumni Award. Joohee Sun, we know that there is no reward for these efforts other than the personal satisfaction of ensuring that the TC way is alive and well in Korea. We also know that without you and many other alumni like you, Teachers College could not continue to be a powerful force throughout the world. For applying the skills and knowledge you've learned to the challenges of education in Korea, for your selfless efforts on behalf of your fellow alumni, and for extending and sustaining the global TC community, we are proud to present you with the very first Teachers College Inaugural Alumni Award for Outstanding Service.
Thank you, keeping focused until this moment. I'll do my best to make it time limit. Okay. I'm more than honored to receive Alumni Award for Outstanding Service from Teachers College, Columbia University. I believe this award came from all the other Korean alumni's great contribution for supporting TC. Without their participation from the heart, this moment wouldn't be possible. And absolutely, I really appreciate all the generosity of all the Alumni Council members of Teachers College for this award. It was the year of 2014. Korean Alumni Association started to talk about fundraising for TC, especially in honor of 125th year of TC history. At that time, previous president of TC, Susan Furman, visited Korea. Many TC graduates in Korea couldn't believe because president of Teachers College visited our country. So Mr. Bailey, you should know that. President of Teachers College is more famous than movie actor and actresses. Okay. In addition, I want to mention two more beautiful ladies, Suzanne Murphy and Rosella Garcia. Suzanne Murphy, Susan visited Seoul several times and made us believe that TC is with you. And she's so open-minded to Korean culture, which is very important to Korean people. And Rosella, she always responded so promptly, all the communications like FBI. I really appreciate that. And their consistent collaboration and beautiful smiles melted our minds and could bring amazing participation to support TC. It is not the biggest amount of money, but the biggest number of Korean alumni participate in the fundraising for 3 years. More than 50 TC graduates in Korea joined us and could collect up to $100,000 as a pledge fund. And TC generously joined us and make it double as a matching fund. So we've given 5 student scholarships so far with the name of Korean Alumni Association and Teachers College. It's an endowed fund, so it will go forever to support student choices of studying at Teachers College. And if you don't mind, please let me mention a few more names. First of all, I thank God for every moment from the beginning up to now. He always raised me up whenever I struggle with my life. And I thank Dr. Chung-Yang Kim for his tremendous dedication to Korean alumni and Teachers College. He's endlessly supported many TC events in Korea. And my families. I thank my husband, Yuchol, who had to stay alone in Korea during my doctoral study. And my 2 boys, James and Thomas. my second son Thomas is there. They had to go through all the language and cultural problems staying with me in New York. I can tell we survived together, like soldiers in the war. So Thomas, thank you for staying with me. So now I will stay with you until you like it. And I thank my parents-in-law, and church friends, especially Taehak Yoon and Hyangum Yoon. They always stood by me and prayed for me. And I absolutely thank my guardian angel, Professor Ellen Meyer. She encouraged me not to give up and to complete the mission of my doctoral studies. She made a word, once an advisor, forever advisor. She's continuously advised me regarding my center in Korea and even my family matters. And I'm more than happy to share this memorable moment with all of you here today, which is the best part of my life. Thank you so much, Teachers College.
We are on time. So we have plenty of time to have one more round of applause for all of our honorees today. Would you all please stand? Well, I'm sure that each and every one of us is totally inspired and totally in awe of these incredible honorees today. And now we encourage you to think about the extraordinary TC alumni whom you know are making a difference. We look forward to receiving your future nominations to help us identifying the next group of alumni who will join these distinguished ranks. It will certainly not be easy to match the caliber of the alumni we've heard from today, but we know there are so many TC alumni out there who are making an impact all across the world. I would also like to thank our awards committee, chaired by Galit Ben-Joseph and Peter Mook, which has the very difficult task of reviewing nominations and selecting the award recipients every year. This is a role that they take very seriously, and as you can see, they have once again done an exceptional job in selecting our honorees. So just FYI, to submit a nomination for their consideration next year, go to the web address printed in your programs. So before I send you on your way, let me share a bit more about what's in store for you this afternoon. Immediately following the brunch, you'll hear Tom Bailey's inaugural academic festival address. We'll also introduce all of today's honorees and the recipients of the Morton Deutsch Awards for Social Justice on the main stage in Cowan Auditorium. And then following the opening ceremony, our opening plenary will include an inspiring, award-winning documentary and a panel discussion. I encourage you to make the most of today, be inspired by our great breakout sessions, and join in important conversations. Grow your alumni network. Meet our incredible students. You'll find 10 exceptional examples in the student research poster session during the closing reception, which begins at 5:30 on the 4th floor of Main Hall. And now it's Zankel. There are those of us who remember it as Main Hall. The Alumni Council is very proud to be partnering with the Student Senate once again in coordinating this endeavor, and that is our 5th year. And I've seen some of the posters, and they are an education in themselves. So please make sure you get to the poster session and the closing reception. Are we in England? If you haven't yet visited the Smith Learning Center or Learning Theater on the 4th floor of Russell Hall, better known as the library, I encourage you to go this afternoon to meet the teams of students vying for the 2019 Innovation Award. They will crown a winning team after a Shark Tank-style pitch show finale. Faculty and students have also put together amazing showcases of their work from across various academic departments. These are opportunities. Today is your opportunity to see what is happening at TC, and we all know that this is the school where it happens. So, thank you all for coming, and we'll see you all next over in Cowan Auditorium. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.